Welcome to an all-new FR Racing's Garage Talk. I'm DJ Flook.
I am Erik Richardson.
And as you can see, we are not alone today. So we're going to go ahead and introduce the Season 4 Wednesday Night Dash ARCA League champion and the pride of New Smyrna. Did I said
Yep.
I said it right. I said it right. Yes.
Yeah, you said it right.
Yes.
It's new Smyrna Speedway.
New Smyrna Speedway. But yes, Tyler Vickery. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Wow, welcome.
Thank you. I know I'm jumping out right now while I can, since
And
it's a little chilly out here, to say the least.
Well, anyway,
it's better than you guys. So I don't know. I'm gonna have it like this real quick for you.
I was getting snow recently.
I'm in Central Arizona. I'm fine.
Well, I mean, I kind of did high school in Tucson, and I was living in Red Rock, Arizona for a little bit near Casa Grande. So I know the feeling.
So Tyler is actually on location right now. You can see him moving around. He is actually at the track right now doing this. So this is our first on location interview. So Tyler's like, yeah, I got a really cool idea to do this. And I'm like, well, we already aired the show. He's like, no, I'm going to be there tonight. I'm like, oh, I see what you're saying. But yeah, he's
this is where I'm at currently, is over in turn 3 and turn 4 of New Smyrna Speedway.
So we're recording this on a Friday night. It's actually closing in on 11 o'clock on the East Coast. What time did they shut things down there? Like, how long were the cars running?
So tonight was more of a practice. We had practice go from 6 o'clock this evening until 10. We had the pro lates, super lates, modified minis, which I was looking around to see if I could find them so I could probably show them off, but it didn't work out. Ooh, that went super bright on me. And then we also had our 4-cylinder cars and V6 V8s, which is what we call Bomber Bs. And so they were doing all of our practice for tomorrow, as we have a red eye 50-50-50, which is we are going to have 50 laps of super lates, 50 laps of pro lates, 50 laps of mod minis, and then we'll have the Bomber Bs and Bomber As racing alongside with them as well. Awesome. And then actually also too, the 602 modifieds. I forgot about them. One of the family members is going to probably pick fun with me now, since I've always been talking about that. And they're one of the ones that help me out a lot. Yeah.
That sounds like a busy couple days at the track.
Oh, yeah. And then tomorrow is going to be absolutely wild. I think from what we're going to be doing is everyone's going to be doing qualifying. And then afterwards, then they're going to run features, and that's how it's going to play out.
What kind of spectator turnout do you expect for tomorrow?
Because it's been a while since we've had any kind of racing because of our hurricane we had, I would not be surprised if we end up packing the house. Maybe not as much as what we did last year at World Series, when we had the inaugural Wheel & Tour Mod series have their season opener here. But I think we'll still get it. I think we'll probably fill up about 80% of the grandstands, which, I mean, we've got new grandstands, and then they're working on these grandstands over here to my left. It's still a work in progress, but they're trying to at least add in a little bit more of the grandstands and trying to make it more improved, and where they can bring in some more fans too later on.
Yeah, I don't
Sounds
honestly.
Speaking of which, there goes the lights now.
I honestly don't know a ton about short track life. Erik and I, we mentioned before, we come from a small dirt track town, and honestly, I don't know a ton about that either. But it's clearly a lot of there's people that are kind of local celebrities that come to these kind of events. There's also people that we'll probably hear of in bigger series 5-10 years from now. But who's the biggest name you've ever seen at come by the track?
Hilariously enough, Kyle Busch. And that was actually, honestly though, Kyle Busch, out of the Cup drivers recently, since I have come to the track back in 2020, Kyle Busch, William Byron, Erik Jones, and I think Chase Elliott one time. I could be wrong, but I know guaranteed, because I've got pictures of their race cars, of Kyle Busch, William Byron, Erik Jones. I believe also too, if I'm not mistaken, Kenny Wallace was also
Oh,
racing a
nice.
modified. Oh, Ryan Priest as well, because Ryan Priest runs tour
Sure.
mods. And I have a whole, I have a few, I have his, the first year I did World Series, which was in 2020, I have his number 6 tour mod picture of it when it was just a regular tour mods, not the Wheeling tour mod. And then I have the number 3 that he ran, pictures of the number 3 that he ran for the Wheeling tour mod inaugural race here last year.
So
But
you you
those,
were
yeah,
you were talking too about, this is a family owned track. Um, a lot of history at this place. I'm not,
yeah.
honestly, I it's not, is it, how old is the track? Do you know off the top of your head?
I know for sure it's, I want to say 50, 55 years roughly.
Okay, so
I
it's
know for,
it's it's been
it's,
around, so been around quite a
yes,
while then.
they used to have I want to say back in the 60s they had used to have NASCAR events.
Oh
They used
wow.
to have the original the main cup series. Now they used to race here a few times. I want to say they probably ran here 5 or 6 times previously.
I got it
So
right here. Opened April 23rd of 1967.
wow, so that's about right.
Yep.
So this, it's the local track, it's the family owned, it's been around for for a long
As,
time now. So can you
as
just
my
kind of
promoter, I just noticed. Sorry if I jumped. One of the track promoters is just driving past, which
so
probably gives me a sign that I need to probably jump off get out of the gate real quick so I can sit over in the. That's the
so
fun part of New Smyrna.
so what's the tell us a little about the importance of a track like this to a local community like that. I mean, obviously it's not Daytona, it's not
No,
Indianapolis, but it has a pretty big significance to the local community there. Can you talk a little bit about that, about what that track means to your community?
oh, it's for a lot of the guys here. A lot of us have really enjoyed this track. I mean, it's been really family friendly. That's one thing with our track. I mean, we'll have some controversies here and there of some people. We have some fights and stuff. Like one
That's
Jason Lester from years ago. We'll have some stuff like that has happened, but other than that, it's just been a lot of people have been really nice and friendly. It's just the way I got started here was through talking to a few people. Most importantly, the PA announcer Ryan Stevens. You'll hear him a lot through some of the past videos, and then I got a chance to meet up with some drivers, and then now I've actually have teamed up with a few other drivers that have all been just working their way up and have done one team I'm actually getting ready to pull up next to right now. They were originally a ground pounders, which was more vintage cars. So like Richie Evans and all of those famous modified drivers from years ago, they were ones that were always talking about. They were always ones that ran those. Now they've all have moved on to the 602 modifieds here. And one of the drivers who I'm actually I'm good friends with, who also runs iRacing, he's now going to be running the Wheel and Modified
oh nice.
Tour Series. He's going to run a few races in that, which he's going to run speed weeks for here at New Smyrna, and then he's going to try to run at least another um, 3 or 4 tracks if he's got the opportunity to, since he's got the modified car. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
And you showed us too a video of actually you participating in a race on the track, or a couple of the races on the track. Tell us a little bit about that, and the uniqueness of putting a quote unquote average Joe out there on the track to compete, and what that experience is like.
Oh man, I can definitely say it was way different than I ever would have expected. Speaking of, yeah, but yeah, for the spectator racing side, honestly, the first time I ran it, I knew how the track was going to be because I did a lot of a lot of the iRacing stuff. Didn't think once about it. After the first time I ran it, I took it really slow. This was back in, I want to say September of 2021 when I decided. I watched a lot of the other spectator racing opportunities I had before. I was like, man, that looks like a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do something. I'll do something like that with the dark. Um, then it got to a point where I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and try and see. So September, I had a scooter helmet at the time because my parents got me a scooter to where because I didn't have a car at the time, and my grandma was letting me just borrow the Dart at the time before she now has herself a new vehicle. So I putzed around. I was still trying to push it to where I got up to 70, 80. And I was like, all right, it's pretty cool. And especially comparing it to what I've done on iRacing. Moving forward to 2022, car's pretty much mostly in my possession now. And I'm like, you know what? Let's push this car. I know what.
Wait. So the first time you were out there, if I understood you correctly, it was still your grandma's car. You were taking out and
Yes.
racing on the track.
Yes.
That's
She
That was
awesome.
never
like a
has known
super
about it.
joyride.
Yeah, she told me that she was gonna pretty much hand it over to me anyway. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna do this, and I wanted to have some kind of racing. So now it's pretty much it. This is pretty much my main car now, and I'm at the point where I'm gonna start seeing about getting me another car at some point later on. But this car now, I should have. If a lot of people know Cletus McFarland Freedom Factory Spectator Drags, there the $10,000 to win for that Spectator Drags. I was going to go out there, but I got caught up in some stuff, not able to make it. I should have gone, which would have been a lot of fun. But 2022 comes around, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. They announced, New Smyrna, the family announced that they were going to go ahead and do a family fun night, which for everyone at home, if you're ever anywhere supporting local tracks, or if you're in Florida, even, yes, we got Daytona International Speedway, but like if you come out early for the 500, come out for World Series. It's going to be a lot of fun. Or any other time that they have a family fun night. It's only $5 for being able to get into the grandstands. And they have all kinds of little fun entertainment. And then with the spectator drags. So I started doing that in March, their first night. Raced against a guy named Casey Hawthorne, he runs on the video, a black mid-90s Mustang. Now that I know more about the car now than I did before, my eagerness was like, all right, I want to see how I would do. Blew me away on the start. And of course, I was in a four-cylinder turbo thinking, okay, I know what I could do. I know the car can push, but didn't realize how big of a difference it makes. Now that I found out that the car's got 600 horsepower and he has a few shots of nitrous in it, I have no chance. Hence why I have other means that I've done later on. But March came around. First race, I started up in front, got beat by him and a few other drivers. I ended up finishing like 4th or 5th. I was shocked. Second race later on, I put in a ton of practice on iRacing. I was like, you know what? I'm practicing. I want to see how I do. The second race of 2022, which was in April, was one of my funnest races I had, where we didn't have a lot of people, but Casey was kind of teaching me under his wing on the real life driving side of what to do with the car, where you can push in the corners, where you can improve yourself and get yourself to where you can understand the feel of the car, knowing what the car is doing underneath your butt and everything, like real life driving. And we ran about 3 or 4 laps side by side before he fully pulled away from me. And that was like the most fun I had running side by side, which kind of translated for me going back into the sim racing, where if I'm running Daytona, Talladega, or just any track that can be able to get a little bit of side draft, or even where you can be able to run side by side and feel confident, I will run side by side because I know what to expect out of the car, both from the sim racing and running a 4-cylinder front wheel drive car in real life on a half-mile track. It got me that confidence of just knowing what I could do and where to be comfortable at. And from that point on, I just took as many laps as I could, which wasn't many because the way they did it was heads up racing for the first half. And then the feature, because they did both it's 1v1 drag and then the feature. But the feature paid out more, paid out the money pretty much, which was either $500 for their big enduro racing that they had going on later that night, or for the family fun nights, it was $100. So I just more worked on practicing on the sim, running like at the time I was running a Pontiac Solstice, which granted that was a mistake because that was a rear wheel drive car instead of a front wheel drive. But I've kind of now figured out I've been using the touring car and just making it really low powered and trying to get it as close to what the Dart can do. To where as long as I'm getting maybe close to 90 mph and knowing what I can do, it just practice laps that way. Then when we started getting the momentum through Speedway video and everyone was seeing what I was doing, because there was a video that came out the next month in that April where I was running side by side with a Mustang. Tons of people were seeing it, and a lot of the New Smyrna area, everyone's like, you know what, I want to come out and race, and that looks like a lot of fun. The next few months afterwards, we ended up slowly gaining momentum to a point where we started to have a consistent people show up. We have myself, the Mustang of Casey Hawthorne, Justin Otterholt, who's also runs a orange Chevy S10. He's nicknamed it Velma. As well as we have about another 7 or 8 more drivers that come out to run the Spectator Race for fun. So we've gotten to a point now where we consistently have been running 15 or more now for our spectator racing here at New Smyrna Speedway. And it's fun. Like we've had one person by the name of Big Gravy come out all the way out from Georgia and race. And he's won and he's put on an awesome show. And I've actually at one point, because of how I've been running since April, from April of 2022 to whenever, I have a streak going right now where I have finished 3rd or better. I have not finished worse than 3rd currently.
So not only are you dominating us in league play, but you're also dominating on the real life track too.
In a very underpowered car compared to racing against a Mustang with a 600 horsepower Mustang that has nitrous in it, as well as a S10 truck that's probably also pushing close to 700 horsepower.
I do, I remember watching now, seeing like an S10 in there. I was like, wow, that's you wouldn't think like, okay, that seems a little weird, but then you see it running away. We've had all kinds of, we've had Camaro. There's one video where at least I can say this, that I've actually passed a Corvette, even though honestly, in my honest opinion, the drivers were scared. But at least I can say I passed the Corvette on the racetrack and pulled away from them too. I mean, honestly, if I was out there in an event like that with a bunch of generally amateur drivers and I was in a Corvette, I'd be terrified. I wouldn't have been, if I owned a Corvette, I would not be taking it out there on the track. Yeah, there was at one point there was a rumor someone was going to bring out their Ferrari, but yeah, they got cold feet very quick, which I don't blame them because of course anyone that brings in a high end car, everyone wants to see it wreck, especially because of what happened with our Mustang, with the Mustang about 4 years ago.
I have a YouTube video clip pulled up from a June 25th race. I think I see that orange truck you're talking about, the Mustang.
Yep, that was a fun moment. I think if that's the one, they about nearly collide. I think that's the one where they about nearly collided. I want to say so because we had the hurricane in I want to say we had the hurricane. Yeah, but yeah, going back to both Justin Otterholt and Casey Hawthorne in the S10 and the Mustang, I think that video, they were how they didn't crash into each other, but they've been putting on some really awesome racing. And then we've had ones where both Casey Hawthorne has almost spun out and hit the wall where he's made contact with Justin in the S10. And then we've also had
Right.
in that night a police Crown Vic and the driver's name was Blake. I can't remember his last name. He spun out on turn 4 in the match racing and saved it and didn't hit the inside wall. We've had some pretty close calls, but that was like that night was insane.
There's a video here. Actually, I have it's Speedway video. I'll put the link in the description of this for everyone to check out. I actually have a Spectator Race from July 30th of this year, and the preview image is the orange truck, and it looks like it's making contact. I can't really
with
tell.
The black Mustang.
Is that what it is? Is that
Yes.
the Mustang?
It's yeah.
Oh yeah, I do see that.
Yeah, Casey Hawthorne. He's. I can tell you this. He is the funniest guy. He used to back in the 90s run pro lates, the late model class at New Smyrna. So he's got a ton of track time. He decided to be funny with his Mustang and put a wing on the Mustang, as well as he decided to put little different bumper stuff on the cars now on the front of the car. So he's done a lot of modifications to that car where he can adjust the suspension. He can do all kinds of stuff that he wants to do to the car, which is insane.
Generally, does like everybody else, I mean, do they do like, are these literally they just take them off the road, and like, do they do any kind of like reinforcement or any kind
not
of
really
safety,
a lot? I mean,
like
there's
5-point harness or anything like that?
There's 1 or 2 people that do, but a lot of these are more just you have to drive it into the track and prove that it's a daily, not a daily driver, but prove that it's that it fits the road hazards to where you can legally drive it on a road. That it's street legal. It has to be street legal.
That's so crazy to me.
I need to take my Chevy Equinox out.
Yeah.
there's one person that races all the time now as well here that she runs a Chevy Sonic. It's on one of the videos where I went way down on the apron trying to block the Mustang and still got beat after leading 4 laps. I'm still not happy with that. I should have won the $100 that night. Should have won a trophy.
I bought a 2012 Ford Fusion. I bought it brand new back in the day. Still drive it to this day. I got like 115,000. And I said that I guess since I'm driving a Fusion now, I got to go, and when I go places, I got to climb. I got to climb up on the door and do a backflip off Carl Edwards style. Now when I go places.
I remember those.
I have never attempted. I probably would break my neck. Did.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, I just you think of Ford Fusion, you think of NASCAR, and the first thing I think of always is Carl Edwards. That's the first name that comes to mind when I think of that car in NASCAR.
Yep, and that's the thing. Like the same thing. Like when I see the Camrys, I always think of before now him going to Richard Childress, of Kyle Busch.
I mean, he legitimized the Camry in NASCAR. I mean, it was kind of a joke until he started winning all the time with it. I mean, he legitimized Toyota in NASCAR single-handedly.
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. And with everything he's done and with what he's done now with having the rowdy energy and everything he's done too, it's just amazing how much progression he's had now.
I still like to meet him with the cameras off away, just to see I
can tell you this,
what his behind the scenes persona is. Just
way different.
That's what I strongly have suspected different. That. Because I mean, it seems like his kids really think the world of him, and it's like if he acted like he did at the track, I think his kids would hate him. But I mean, his kids clearly love him.
Yeah, the one thing that surprised me when I had a chance to talk to him a little bit here at New Smyrna, it just like regular talk, just asking him how he felt with the track and everything. It even just talking about regular stuff too. I was just shocked at how different of a person he was. Like when he ran the Clyde Hart Memorial in August of 2021 was when he was out here. I couldn't believe he enjoyed it so much. And he was like, when some of us were around him, and he's like, this is the most fun I've had racing here. He's like, I didn't care about winning. He's like, I'm happy I finished 7th. He's like, that was a blast. I want to come back and do more. When we heard him say that, a lot of us were shocked. We're like,
I mean, it's
wait,
just that's
this is
awesome.
and
I mean, I think
his
he's just
personality was so nice too.
yeah, has that villain personality, or he took on the villain personality of NASCAR, and he's just embraced it over the years, and just ran with it.
And that's the thing. After meeting him, I said to myself, wow, who would have thought that you see this guy so upset, so pissed off all the time at the national level, and then he comes out to these short tracks or anything at his hometown for his sons, and he's just like this happy-go-lucky guy,
different person,
enjoying life, sweet, having fun, and just enjoying it. And it's like, there's times I'm thinking, I'm like, there ain't no way this is who it is. There ain't no way this is Kyle Busch. This is not the Kyle Busch I see on TV all the time. Yeah. He has a complete 180 persona when he's out here at the track. Like, he's fully supports the short track, and I think it's awesome. That's the one thing I love seeing with Ryan Preece and Erik Jones, seeing what some of those guys will come out to the local short track and race the local short track just to help bring the fans in, and especially it's something they enjoy doing. I mean, shoot, I saw the 24 out here, which I know William Byron usually runs the 24 or runs the 4. So I mean, that says a lot, seeing him they've got their car out here testing, whether or not he runs or not. I mean, that's big as well. But I think he'll be racing as well, at either 1 or 2 days, depending on what exactly happens.
So as we get close to the end of our time here, we got to talk a little bit of iRacing here. We were planning on talking that first, but then you don't always get a chance to talk about on location at the time. So iRacing, you stumbled upon our league, you came in and joined us literally last second for the ARCA season. And you had a rough, I mean, you still finished well, but there's a video clip. I don't know if you saw the preview of I published the preview, and you're chasing down Scott McAreavy from the Kansas race
and scraped the wall.
Yeah, well, you pounded the wall. Scott got down really low. You went into the grass, and then you just veered right into the wall. And
that was my frustration when I knew I blew it like the lap before. Yeah, that was where I was like, you know what? This is a sim race. I'm just gonna decide to destroy the car be like, you know what? I did everything I can. I'm like, well, forget it. Let's just send it in the outside wall.
So what I did was I'm putting the video together for the intro for this season. And last year, I put an intro together, and we didn't have much anything. I took one of the first races and just threw a bunch of clips in there. This time around, it's like, okay, we've got regulars, we've got people returning. Let's put them in the video. They're as much part of this as Erik and I are. And so for Scott's video, we played the clip of Scott, and there's this big crescendo in the song where it goes, it's like building, and boom. And I timed it perfectly that you just pound the wall.
I hit the wall.
Right. And last night I was Erik and I, when we were recording our previous episode, I had it up in screen sharing, and I lined this up, and I'm just sitting here laughing for 5 minutes straight. I'm like, check this out.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
So, but yeah, you being the champion of the series, you get top billing, the top coming in, and I took a clip of you at Mid Ohio coming right down the, as a straightaway. It was good camera view. I mean, not exciting from a racing standpoint, but it was a great camera shot. So, but I mean, you found your own pretty quickly, and then you ran up the top. Erik got you by 0.003 of a second at Talladega, and then I turned
Erik sandwiching me at the line at Talladega. The one time I was like, oh, please, I might have a chance. I thought I pulled off the move. Nope, here you come, DJ, on the outside. And I look at my relative and look in the mirror. I'm like, this is not happening again. Because I've had that happen multiple times on even the official stuff. I've had it where I pushed someone all the way to the lead, and then all of a sudden, here comes third, just sneaking on by.
So we, so it was Erik was leading. You were second. I was kind of trailing behind.
distant
Caden
third,
was,
yeah.
Caden
Third,
was right
third
there
and
as
fourth.
well. And so on, on the broadcast booth, they're like, DJ should get behind Caden and push Caden forward. And
Because at the time it was Kaden and I were fighting each other, and Kaden was having some rough nights that Kaden needed a big win to try to gain some kind of momentum on me. Otherwise, I would have been locking it up super early in the chain.
So we're coming around to the trioval, and you make your move. And I'm just like, all right, I stayed back there because I didn't want to, like, I'm on the last lap. I don't want to cut Caden off or push him into the wall.
Thinking about it too, that was the hurricane race too, I think.
Yes, that was the hurricane. Racing during a hurricane on a generator, which that's straight hardcore. So Erik's coming around. You pull to the side. You guys are going back and forth, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna, if I'm not gonna win this, I'm gonna push Erik to the win. I'm just gonna get back there and I'm gonna push him. And then I get to the end and I see Kaden kind of fall back a little bit, and I'm just like, maybe I can sneak this one through. And that's when I make this move where I just slide right off the track. And
you had so much momentum. Honestly, when I looked in my rearview mirror real quick, I thought you were hitting a wall. I honestly thought you were hitting a wall.
I went back and watched that replay, and I'm like, I have no idea how I didn't take out Kaden with that move. And I'm just like,
that was wild.
If I had another 20 feet, that would have been enough to push me ahead of the two.
Oh, yeah, you had such a run. I was just trying not to wreck Tyler and defend and do something.
But it's just like, here. I'm just like, gotta push my teammate. I'm like, there's an opening. Taking it.
Bets are off on that last 200 yards.
But just, coincidentally, we had a great turnout for the stream for that race, and I'm so pumped that we did, because we built all the momentum off of that. We had such an exciting finish there, and built the momentum off of the last half of the year. And I mean, we had a lot of great finishes last season. I mean, it's
even
multiple and under a second.
With the one where I got stuck with the soccer, because with me doing indoor, the one I missed, because I wanted to lock it, and I'm by 2 minutes, literally. It was like by 2 minutes, because I came in and the qualifying was finishing up, and because of the way the Michigan,
I missed it too. I had a meeting and I got home, like I missed it by like 5-10 minutes. Like, crap.
Yeah, we both. Yeah, that's why at times I felt like, man, had we like increased practice or set it to where it was like 2-lap qualifying, where we could be able, but like how you have it with the open qualifying, the way the iRacing sessions are, it can be chaotic.
Yeah,
especially when they lock up early, and it's like, as soon as practice or qualifying, whatever is first, if there's no qualifying, and if it's just open qualifying practice, as soon as it hits 0, that session locks up. And a lot of times, even on the leads, it's
if you're not in, you're not in. Yeah, it stinks. But we got the new. We had our Indy race last week, or sorry, the series not to be named. Erik and I, we just, the episode that we're recording this on a Friday that literally just aired. We were talking, and I'm just like, I'm leading the group to green, which 1, never happens, and 2, like, the adrenaline comes in. Yeah, the adrenaline kicks in. I got a great start. The adrenaline kicks in, and I just dip onto the white line by just enough.
Those cars will do that.
And I'm glad that I wasn't streaming it, because I was just like, oh, son of a few more
a whole mess too.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, here we go. And then I'm like, wait, I think I collected everybody.
Yeah, sure enough. And the hilarious part is, when some of us were sitting on the Discord, I'm surprised some of you guys did not hear my wheel just rattling away, because the way I got hit, my right front was broken. But I'm like, well, I know I can still drive this around. I'm like, well, caution's out. I'm not going to be able to get in. If I go into pit road, I'm going to be flagged and all that stuff. So I kept driving around, going almost close to 100 mile an hour, and I could just hear you could just hear the steering wheel, the force feedback, just shaking the steering wheel like nuts. Oh,
And
it was
I didn't tell Erik this, but I haven't told anybody this, but this was a first for me. So I wreck and I come to a stop and I'm facing the wall, and the car's still relatively intact. I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I think I could probably limp this thing around. I was stuck in fourth gear. I couldn't I couldn't shift either way. I'm like, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, fourth. I'm like, well, crap,
Oh
I'm taking the
man.
tow. I'm like, I've never had that happen before.
Yeah, like with the way they've got the damage models and change everything up. Oh goodness. Yeah, that was the one thing with those cars. And I mean, that was the one fun part, is that where you could adjust the weight jacker, because before in fixed setups with that specific car, you could not adjust the front ARBs and the rear ARBs, or you couldn't even well, no, you could change the brake bias, but you couldn't change the fuel mapping, the weight jacker. You couldn't change any of that, because but when iRacing did an update and they made it to where you can do stuff like that, it changed the whole ball game for fixed setup racing, where you can change it to make the front nose of the car a little bit more oversteer, to where you can get it to corner more. You can make the rear a little looser, like if you're on a more shorter track, make it to where the rear wing will take more of the air and make it where it's more overstable for you, to make it a looser car. And then the weight jackers, like as the run goes on, make that spring in the right rear a lot more heavier, to where you can be able to make it through the corner as the tires are getting worn in, to where you can still be flat out, but not have to lift off as much as you would have to previously, because you were having to tear up the tires so much, and you couldn't adjust the weight ratio. You couldn't adjust a lot of stuff that a lot of those cars that the real life drivers normally would be able to do. And
But yeah, it's a bummer that's Erik was looking forward to this
I was ready
season.
for it.
And
I
then
was too. And
then
then
that
when that happened, I was
clarification comes
really
out, and
bummed
I'm
out.
just well, actually, I sent a note to iRacing support today,
Mhm.
and I said, okay, so you said no broadcasts, you haven't updated your broadcast,
The
terms
titles.
yet, yeah. But I said, what defines a broadcast? Like, okay, does me going on Twitch, driving in car and chatting with people while I'm driving in a Dallara Dash or
Right.
a Class C fixed race, does that count as a broadcast? Does
Right.
us in this type of environment of a show doing a film study of a race, does that count as a broadcast?
Yeah.
Does us putting
Exactly.
clips on TikTok or Instagram, does that count as a broadcast? And they just come back and like, you cannot broadcast. We will be updating our terms of service soon. And that is literally all they said to me. I was like,
Oh, jeez.
all right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, IndyCar. Thanks a lot.
Be more
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've
so
seen all the stuff, and it's funny. Like as soon as like IndyCar, like I seen the Twitter page blow up when they had the thing on there for talking about the helmets, and
yeah,
everyone's like, "Oh yeah, oh my goodness, I couldn't
post.
believe,
Yeah,
couldn't
it's just everybody's
believe
posting the iRacing helmet.
that." Yeah, and then there's screenshots of the cars and everything. I still, when I heard the announcement of it, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh boy, this could get really ugly very quick." And yeah,
It's just like I'm currently reading a book about the just IndyCar and their just massive mismanagement from like the USAC kart
yeah,
the 70s and 80s, and
from
then the
that
split in the
incident to
90s. And
yeah,
then it just the late Robin Miller, who he worked for the Indianapolis Star for a long time, but he covered IndyCar and NASCAR until he passed away last year. He wrote the forward to the book, and it's about a page and a half long, and it basically says like IndyCar should be so far ahead of NASCAR right now if they didn't have
without a
morons
doubt.
running it. And
I mean,
it's
look
just
at yeah, I mean, look at what Connor Daly has done. I
yeah.
mean, when we had everything happen, I mean, Connor Daly was live streaming. Tony Kanaan, even
Yes.
with him being retired. I mean,
Erik got in a Dallara Dash with Tony Kanaan a while back.
I actually ran the Brazilian stock cars. I had a chance to run with him one time. It's unbelievable how much has changed. Even just, who would have thought that some of these top drivers from NASCAR, IndyCar, or any stock racing, Formula One, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris.
Max Verstappen spent his Christmas break driving in the Class C fixed truck series on iRacing.
Oh my goodness!
It was Talladega week, and he did like 7 sessions in Talladega, and I'm just thinking like,
how?
I'm just he finished anywhere from like 3rd to like 20th, and I'm just thinking there's got to be people on the service, and you get in there, you see Max Verstappen, the Formula One world champion, maybe the best driver in the world right now.
Going on?
And he's instantly got a target on his back. It's because, like, I don't know how he could find that fun with everybody gunning for him. It's like, it's one thing to be on a track with people roughly around your skill level in Formula One, but you've got a bunch of people in a simulator environment, people that are not very skilled. And I'm sure someone was deliberately gunning for him just to say, you know what, I'll take my week suspension just to say that I wrecked Max Verstappen. Like, at least one person had that thought in their mind. If not every session. But he was out there like 6 or 7 times that week.
Yeah, like I actually had a fun battle with him in a Formula 3 car. And oh my goodness, it was hilarious because I was way up in front. I think I was like 2nd or 3rd place in this official. It was at Montreal, which I like to build some of my setups from the ground up and not use like VRS and some of the other platforms. And I was racing alongside with him. I had much higher downforce than him, but he caught me so fast, and it was funny. But at the same time, he made this one move that scared me, and I thought he was going to go late. So I panicked, still made the corner, and then all of a sudden he's still side by side with me. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did he get side by side with me? But it's kind of awesome though. Like when I see drivers like that, it's kind of cool because then you get to learn a little bit from them. Hence why,
and it's just like, you're the most famous racer in the world right now, probably, and he's just another dude on this platform alongside a bunch of other random dudes no one's ever heard of, and
there's people out there that have probably raced real life and you never know it. That's like with me and the rallycross side. When rallycross came out day one, I had the opportunity to race alongside a lot of people, and I had a chance. I ran into Mitchell DeJong first, like day one. And then when the Pro Series came out, I was like, you know what? My iRating at the time was sitting at almost close to 3,000, and I was doing really well. And I was like, you know what? Let me try to see if I can get myself in the Pro Series. And this was the inaugural year. So they had the big max, like 50 plus cars in one session. And it was just utter chaos. I ended up not making it in, but the opportunities I had talking with Mitchell DeJong that have led into this whole rallycross community I've talked with now all the time, from all of the top drivers, Backrun. Liam, I'm trying to remember some of the guys' names because I've know of so many. Sindre is another one I've known of. There's a lot of guys from the rallycross community I've known now since the 4th, 5th year that rallycross has come out. And it's something that's really cool, is that every time I see some of these guys on the rallycross side, it's like, man, who would have thought that my talents on the sim side is almost close to them with how they're racing.
Right.
And that's why at times I always get that in that mindset where I would love to run a rallycross and run in like Nitro RX or something, where when Travis Pastrana shows up to this on the sim at times, it'd just be kind of cool to see if he decides to do something with how big his Nitro RX is going, is bring someone from the sim racing side and see how they would fare, like what Chase Elliott has done. Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe have done, or Austin Cindric did when they went out to Phoenix for the most recent Nitro RX race.
And I don't know if you knew this. So Kendall Kerr, our former announcer, he runs the Highline Racing League. So
Yep.
back in the early days of it, Chase Briscoe raced with them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like, when Chase won his first Cup Series race, there, Erik and I, we hang around their Discord and just kind of watch from a distance. And Chase wins and everyone was super pumped for him. It's like, hey, we've raced with a Cup Series winner. So it's just like, it's so cool to see this, just, the community that's built out of this whole, not just real, but in the simulated environment as well.
Yeah, it's that's the one thing I've enjoyed with iRacing, and especially now, there's a few like coming back to New Smyrna. There's a few people I've raced alongside on the sim side that I've met here that have raced here in real life, like the Hat families. I'm definitely they're the ones that have gotten me really into more doing some more photos for them, and also at some point, hopefully in the long run, maybe getting an opportunity to run a SK mod, a comparison to the SK mod in iRacing, which is a 602 or like a little bit heavier crate motor, wheel-in modified tour mod car, but the more smaller block engine compared to the wheel-in tour series. But I met them on iRacing, and it was by hilarious coincidence, though, was the way that we met up was in a hosted session back in 2021 when they were practicing for the World Series, because both of them were running and were running in the tour mod class just to get some practice in. I think this was the first year they were bringing the 602s in, as well as all the other tour mods. So they wanted to get as much practice. So I ended up running into them two of the Hatton family, Chris and Christopher Hatton. Then I ended up running into Jimmy Blewett. I think, Jimmy Blewett and a few others that were on there at the time. And I was just running alongside with them, and I asked them, I said, hey, are you guys all racing World Series or what? And not there, and talked for a bit afterwards. And I said, all right, well, I'll try to meet up with you guys. First day of the World Series, I met up with them and hit it off, and just pretty much became really good friends, especially with the Hat family. And
that's very cool.
They've given me a lot of support since.
That's awesome. It's just like I said, there's so much bad crap on the internet and bad, and even in the iRacing platform, there's some toxicity for sure. But I mean, there's so much good too that comes out of it. So we it looks like we got a wrap here. So we're targeting half an hour, and we blew that away, but that typically happens. We're used to it.
Especially because of me being on location kind of also.
It's all right. It's been a lot of fun. This got put together really quickly. I'm glad we made this happen. So Erik, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap?
It's always fun to just hear from others about their iRacing experience and even real life racing experience, and just seeing who they race and what they can learn from them.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see here, because then for everyone at home that ever wants to come by, I'm gonna try to see if I can jump out of the car here, since I'm back out on the front stretch. Well, not really front stretch, but over in turn 1 and 2. I know it's going to look a little dark here for shortly, but if you guys come out over, even though it might not look too clearly, this is like our intersection of State Road 44 and County Road 415. We've got a little bit of a gas station over here. Nice small little area, and right behind here, even though you can barely see it, there's some of the signs of the NASCAR home track, and that's pretty much where New Smyrna sits.
That's very cool.
It's a fun half mile, and any of you out there that always thought about going to a short track, it definitely go. It's something you definitely won't regret. Whether it's in Florida, with all the tracks in Florida, like Five Flags, New Smyrna, and Auburndale is another one. Same thing like for you guys in Arizona. I know of some friends from high school, Tucson Raceway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a track I've always thought about. If I get a chance to get back out there to see my parents, I'll go out to watch them race.
Brian France actually managed that track when he was not a kid, but he was a young adult. And he took that gig, and people are like, what? Why? What are you doing? But
I mean, that's the kind of fun history. You never know what kind of history you'd find here at a lot of short tracks, and you'll see. You'll find out very quickly who are the superstars at the specific tracks.
All right.
That's SRX is the best reason to help promote the short track racing, and I'm hoping and I'm going like this massively
Yeah.
because I would love for SRX to come out to New Smyrna. It would be
I want to see
that's
it work. I want it to like there be
yes,
longevity, make this thing a regular thing. I mean,
yep.
it's got a good solid backing to it, and as long as they don't mismanage it, I think it's I think they may have found the formula
Yeah,
here. So I hope it
I think so
works out.
too. I agree. I hope so too because I think there can be a lot of positive stuff that can come out of it, and who knows what kind of momentum they can get afterwards.
Yes, indeed. So on that note, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show today. So Tyler, you want to hype any social media or Twitch streams or anything?
I know I'm trying to work on getting back onto Twitch. It's taken a little while. You'll find me on there as Goofy Tyler 1995. Yeah, I've had that username for the longest time. So there's times I will have some funny little moments and I'll face palm, or like if I do a dumb wreck, I'll hit my head off the steering wheel because I've done that multiple times. But on Facebook, it's just Tyler Vickery. I'm also working on a Facebook page. I'm gonna start trying to post more stuff on Tyler Vickery Photography. I'm gonna be trying to post a lot more photos of a lot of the race teams that are gonna be racing throughout the 2023 season. And I'm gonna work on, since I have the microphones and stuff, I'm gonna try to start potentially doing some interviews of some drivers, either before a race or after a race, and trying to more expand on that. And then I'm just on Instagram mainly as also Goofy Tyler 1995. But it's more, I'm more just familiar face. If you see me around New Smyrna, if you're in the area at New Smyrna, don't, if you see me wearing a little vest like this and you can recognize it's me and hear my voice, please say hi to me or whatnot. I always enjoy talking to people about iRacing and getting people involved. It's worth it. I mean, hopefully at some point for me, you might see me in a race car at some point on a YouTube video, Speedway videos. That's
Yep.
why I'm gonna definitely give a shout out to them because you'll find all kinds of videos from New Smyrna Speedway. Check the local tracks, Rockford. There's a lot of different tracks out there that have past racing that you can definitely go back and watch, and it's always fun. And it definitely support any of your short tracks because with some of the stuff that's happened now, it's you never know when they're gone.
Right.
I can definitely say that.
And we for every time you've got a North Wilkesboro that comes back, so many more never see the light of day again. So
Yep.
yeah, that's a really good point.
Yep.
So on that note, at FR Racing Online on all social medias and streaming platforms, check out our blog at frracingonline.com, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Take care, y'all.
Have a good one.